welcome back. It's me, Jenny. How is everyone doing today? Okay, so we're going to talk about how I coffee and tea dye my embellishments and all my little things that I use to do junk journaling. Now, I had showed you guys in another video, I very briefly showed you how I was tea and coffee dyeing this doily, and I'm gonna try to make this into a really pretty, like, old looking journal. And I think that the look is definitely there, right? Like all this tea and coffee dye paper. I use a lot of my tea bag here. I also use a doily that I also coffee and tea dyed. So anyway, so you guys were asking, a few of you guys sent me a message and asked me, how do I get this look so like old looking, and what do I do to dye all my little embellishments? Now, I gotta tell you, I am not an expert in this. I have done this, and I have done it in like trial and error. This is not something that I am an expert in. There are millions of YouTube really good tutorials on how to actually tea dye correctly all these embellishments that you want to. I don't know if I'm doing it the right way or not. It works for me though. That's what's important to me, and that's what works for me. I like how it looks. It works for me. It may not be the right way of doing it, but hey, I like the way it looks and it works for me. So I wanted to show you guys and give you ideas on how I get this look. It's very simple. I don't really do nothing much more than just collect, a couple of bottles of leftover coffee and tea. So what I do is, to get this look, I like to use, now I do two different kinds of methods. My method is a little bit weird, I know, but I have two different kinds of method. The first one that I do is I pour my leftover coffee in a jar. This is basically just a spaghetti jar, sauce jar. I pour my leftover coffee in here, and I also pour my teas in here. And I basically just accumulate the leftover coffee in a day or two, and basically by the third day I'll have like a full jar of like tea and coffee in here. Now, my other method is I do the same thing in a different jar, but I also add the used coffee that I have sitting in my coffee machine. I add maybe like a few tablespoons of the used coffee into the jar where I already have my coffee, leftover coffee and tea. And by me doing this, you really will get a really old looking paper texture that is going to look like this, okay? Now, I have to tell you, both my methods are great, but the second one with the coffee added into the coffee and the tea, that's gonna get you very messy. Because remember, when you're adding the coffee, you're adding this grain, and the grain is gonna be very messy. As you can see here, look at the coffee grain right in my hands. It really will get messy. So if you are willing and okay to not have, if you are okay to have coffee grains everywhere and you don't care, if you protect your area where you're working and that doesn't really bother you too much, then that's a fantastic way to get this really old look to your paper. But if you really don't want to get dirty and don't want your projects, maybe you're making this album for somebody else, or maybe you're reselling it, and you don't want really the mess of the coffee grains everywhere, and just use the first method, which is the coffee and the tea, okay? And I like to use both methods. To be honest with you, it's very messy to use it the second way I'm doing it, but I love the way it comes out. So it's like, you figure out what you like better. And all I do is I usually take some like regular paper, okay? Just regular white sheet of paper. um, just a regular white sheet of paper. And what I like to do is I like to tear it in half, okay? And when you tear it in half, you get this, okay? What I also do is I take another stack of white paper, and instead of tearing it in half, I tear it the other way. So then you get the longer way, okay? So you have a longer and you have this size, okay? So this gives you a variety of ways to work with your, you know, your junk journaling album or anything that you're working with. It gives you like ideas on if you want to use this size, you can. If you want to use this size, you can. If you want to use them both, that's also okay. So I like to do that because I like to leave myself open for different kinds of projects, right? So once I do that, what I will do next is I will get any kind of pan or big bowl or something. I pour in my coffee and tea into the bowl, and I just basically dip in my paper, and then I just lay it on a cookie sheet and just let it air dry. It's gonna take about 2 days to air dry. It's very simple. It's not a really hard, complicated thing to do. I recommend you, if you're doing this, do a whole bunch, because it gets really, really annoying when you have to, like, you know, you have to be, I mean, I have here a whole bunch that I did all in one day. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 10 pages that I had to dip in one day. So it can really be time consuming. So if you're gonna do this, I would suggest you to do everything that you need to tea dye at that time. So this way it doesn't really take too much of your time. And then what you basically do, you just dip it in, okay? And you let it sit, you know, air dry in an area where you're not gonna touch it. You can actually lay these on top of each other. They will not stick together. Trust me, I've done it, and my papers never stick together. So you can actually lay them on top of each other. I wouldn't specifically lay them on each other exactly, but I would just kind of tilt them around like this. See, I'll lay them around like that. And these I just use a paper plate, and I just lay them like this, okay? And I just lay them down, and they dry up in a day or two. And that's perfectly fine. If you really want to get the really, 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 really grungy look, you can just crumble it in your hands, open it up, and then dip it. And that will also give you a really, really crumbly look. Let me see if I have one here. I don't have one here, but it will give you a really, really crumbly old look to it, okay? Or you can do it afterwards. If you want to do it like afterwards, you can just crumble it up like that, open it up, and now you have like a really old looking paper. You can do that too if you want. It's up to you. It's really, like I said, there is no wrong way of doing this, guys. It's just a way of, you know, making your project work better for you and easier. There's really no wrong way of doing this. Okay, and then for my, I gotta put something underneath this because this really bleeds. I mean, it's really messy. So for my doilies, my ribbons, my laces, my tags, I do the same thing. I do everything all at once because I do not want to be sitting around doing this for a few days because it is time consuming. So on a day that you are not busy, like on a Saturday or a Sunday when you're not busy, just, you know, dedicate an hour or two of your time to do this and, you know, get it done the same day. So I do the same thing with my laces. I do the same thing. As you can see here, these laces are all coffee and tea dyed, and they just come out so absolutely beautiful. I just love how these come out. Now these, I did not use the coffee grains in it because if you use coffee grains in your lace and your fabric, you are going to get a mess. Okay, let me see if I have one in here. I had one in here. Like this one, I had used it with the coffee grains, and I had to kind of like clean it out a little because the coffee grains were all over it and it didn't look really pretty. So I would suggest that if you're going to do laces, fabric, anything that has to do with like that has fabric in it, don't use the coffee grain. Use the other one, the other method, which is only the tea and the coffee, because it's gonna basically not be so messy and it doesn't look too like, I don't know, it looks better without the coffee grain, trust me. But anyway, so I did the same thing with my ribbons. As you can see here, they're really gorgeous, aren't they? Beautiful. I also did something with an application. I mean, this is absolutely beautiful. I love the texture. And now, the best part is I did my tags also. So I am super excited about my tags. Look at these tags, how beautiful they came out. They are just so absolutely gorgeous. Look at them. Look how pretty they came out. See that? They're so gorgeous. But the only thing is, these tags, I don't know, can you see there? You see the little coffee grains on it? If you just clean it out like this, it will come out. Okay? So I would suggest that you take some time after you have these all dried up, take like a little brush and just brush it off if you don't like that look. If you like this look on your tags, then don't brush it off, leave it there. I personally like that look because it gives it that really old look to my tags. So I don't mind that I'm gonna have a mess because, I mean, what's not crafting without not having a mess, right? I don't mind. But if you really want to be, you know, on top of it and don't want to have messy like situation going on in your area, then you definitely need to wipe this off with either, I don't know, like a dry brush or something, so you can just, you know, take off the excessive coffee grains that's really on this tag, as you can see there. Okay, so yeah, and then I did the same thing with my little tickets. I also coffee and tea dyed them. They look awesome, don't they? I love them. They're so pretty. So yeah, you can really basically tea dye or tea and coffee dye anything, guys. I mean, it is simple. It's a very simple solution for it. Get coffee and get tea. Have it sit there for, you know, for as long as you want. This coffee has been sitting in my kitchen counter for 4 days, so I don't think it's gonna go bad. I mean, you're not gonna drink this. This is only used for dyeing, so you can actually keep this for a while, and it will, the longer you keep this, the darker it's going to get, which is also an awesome thing. So just make sure when you're ready to use it, you shake it up really good so you can incorporate all those wonderful little you know, combinations together. And that's it. That's all you do. I really don't do much more. I mean, honest to God, this is such a simple thing to do. I don't do much more of anything. That's all I do. See what I'm talking about? This is all the coffee grains that we were just talking about. See? Let me show you. See? So if you don't want that mess going on in your area, then don't use the coffee green. Just use the coffee and tea. That already by itself is a perfect project. Okay, I just like to go a little bit extra I guess, and I like to see that really old look to my my pages. But again, you don't have to, because you will get a mess like this. Okay, honeys? All right, loves, I hope that this kind of somehow gave you some ideas on how I tea dye and coffee dye my little items. I don't know if you guys want me to do like a process video on doing it. It's really not too complicated. It's basically self-explanatory, to be honest with you. Just dip this in a cup, dip it in, squeeze it, let it air dry, and you're done. It's not really too complicated at all. It's very simple. I'm going to be working on this little journal soon. I will be doing a project, and I'm going to also be doing it with you guys. So I hope you guys are excited as I am to put this little journal together. Yay! Okay, honeys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this was helpful. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions, please let me know. It might take a few days for me to get back to you because I am super busy with work. I'm still trying to get back to a lot of your response from a few videos ago. So it might take me a few days to respond back to you, but you can always Instagram me, and I get my Instagrams in a minute. So I usually am more active in my Instagram. So if you have any questions, let me know. My Instagram will be at the bottom of this video. Send me a message. I will get back to you as soon as I can. I hope this was helpful. I hope you guys learned from this. I hope you guys are excited to see more videos using all these wonderful goodies. And yeah. Okay, honeys, I'll see you soon in my next video. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you so much for your support. And I will see you soon. Be safe and have a fantastic weekend. Bye, honey bunnies.